Hey everyone, join me in a workout today where we'll be progressing through some foundational positions and movements of a program called Animal Flow, a new method of body weight and movement training that is gaining popularity in the fitness industry. The three basic positions are face down quadruped or bear, face up quadruped or crab, and deep squat. There are countless movements that are derived from the three positions, and today we'll aim to master the basics. What you'll need is, at minimum, your body and flat ground, soft ground like grass or a mat, potentially something to elevate like yoga blocks, and the ability to hold yourself on 4 points of contact, your feet and hands, without much irritation of the wrists and shoulders. Pause the video now if you need to get these things set up. Otherwise, let's get started with our warm-up. Clasp those hands together and start making circles. After a few, we'll switch directions. Very nice. Get those wrists nice and ready to go because they're going to be taking quite a bit of action today. Palms up. Hands out to the side, straight arms. We're going to make nice little circles, going back, opening up that chest, stretching out those shoulders. Start to raise those circles up a little bit. Get them higher, a little bit bigger. Try not to push your back into it. Don't arch that back too much. But feel those shoulder blades really warming up. And now we're going to take those hands up and down. Reach back, reach up. Bending the elbow and then straightening the elbow at either point. Very nice. Get that backside nice and ready to go. We'll be putting our hands behind us on the ground a bit, stretching those shoulders out, so we really got to get those warmed up. Get onto your front side. On all fours. We're going to do cat-cow here. If you do yoga, then you're familiar with this. Arching the back into a cow and rounding the back out into a cat. Take it nice and easy. Just feel those hips working. Feel that spine start to mobilize. Good. Take it slow. After that, let's tuck those toes underneath and just kind of push back. Push those hips back into the heels. We're starting to stretch the bottom of the feet here. You might feel a little bit in the Achilles tendon and the calves a little bit. And then come on up into a down dog position. We're going to walk those feet out, getting a little bit higher up into the calves, into the hamstrings. Keep that tailbone nice and high. Push yourself back and feel those legs just start to warm up and stretch out nicely. Good. Come on down, back to all fours. Palms down, hands facing forward. Open up those fingers, grip the ground, and slightly lean forward. We should feel a good stretch in the forearms and start to feel those shoulders working a little bit extra here. Turn those hands around facing you and start to lean forward and back. You should feel the opposite side of the forearms start to stretch as you lean back. Very nice. So now I'm doing these circles here with the wrists, pushing in one way and then pushing the other way. Shake it out. Good. Moving on. We're going to do some hip rotations here. So take one foot up out to the side, bring that knee down, and then bring it up and out. And really push it in either direction. Work that range of motion. Feel that hip open up. And then switch sides. 2. Good. 3. Feel that outer glute really working. 4. And 5. Very nice. A few more here. We're going to get into a cobra here. So come down to the ground, lift up that head, push the hips down into the floor, lift those shoulders first and then the upper belly. You should feel a stretch in the abs. This is not for the back. It's using the back muscles, using the arms as support more so than actually pushing away from the ground. But you should stretch out the abs in that one. And then go ahead and lean back into a child's pose. Open up the hips and then lean forward a little bit. We're not dropping any further than the hips going equal with the knees and the shoulders, making a nice line with the body there. Sit back. Very good. Alright, that concludes our warm-up. Next, we're going to get into 2 sets, alternating exercises between a child's pose to cobra and a rotational movement. So here we're going to start back in that child's pose position again, leaning forward. Now we're going to drop the hips into the ground, but this time we're going to be very careful what we're doing with that spine. We're gradually coming past that plane. If you think you're ready, you can lift up those knees off the ground into a loaded child's pose. Get those hips nice and high, round out the back, and then start leaning forward ever so gently, feeling the body, feeling full control over that movement, going nice and slow, and then we drop the hips, press them into the floor, lift the torso, and look up. And then coming back, we drop the head, gently lift up the hips as we use those abs to bring ourselves back into a straight line and then curved position again. I'm not necessarily counting here, I'm just doing what feels good for me. Switching it up, we're going to get into some Spider-Man rotation. So step forward with one leg here. This is my right, and then I'm going to take my right hand, circle it up way up high, and then switching sides, I step forward with the left foot, left hand goes up, right foot, right hand goes up. Nice and easy. Feel a good stretch, feel a good twist. Keep that core engaged. Keep pushing that back heel way back to keep that leg nice and straight. Do what you can when it comes to getting that foot up nice and high. I forgot to mention this is a good time to use that elevation. At any point you can use the elevation in this workout. Just have those blocks or box underneath the hands in any position, face down or face up. Good, so we completed that. That's the first one. We're going to do one more round here. See if we can come off the knees. If you feel like you're taking some pinching in the back, stay down on the knees so that we don't have as much weight coming from the hips, putting pressure on that spine. Looking up, pushing the hips down, opening up the abs, and then coming back, sitting back into the hips. At every moment, we're rounding that back out, using those abs, crunching the torso together. Very nice. Keep it going. Good stuff. Hope you're feeling good right now. This is a little bit of an awkward movement, so if it feels good, keep on going with it. Otherwise, take your time. No need to push too far to advance. Also, if it helps, you can go on those fists. Right here, my wrists are getting a little fatigued, so I'm coming up to the fists. And this position works really well with being on the fists. Once again, the second time that we're doing these Spider-Man rotations. See if we can reach up a little higher with the foot. Reach a little further with the hands. Yes. Good. Keep it going. Pretty soon we're going to get into our progressions, get into the coordination movements, and really get those building blocks of animal flow going. Very nice. Last one here. Good. Alright, so here we go. What we're going to work up toward is that bear crawl as well as the crab walk. We're going to cover 4 steps. A for bear crawl and B for crab. Our first step for bear crawl or face down quadruped, we're just going to hold that position for a good 30 seconds or so. Once again, you can have those hands elevated a bit to make it a little easier on the wrist, or you can make a fist so that the wrist isn't bending nearly as much. Good job. We want to keep that spine nice and neutral, knees directly below the hips, holding us in this position. Very good. And then we're going to move back into our crab position. So facing up, feet flat on the ground, knees up in front of us, and lift those hips just off the ground. If you feel good enough in the shoulders, go ahead and lift those hips up to make a nice bridge position. Press down through the heels, squeeze those glutes. Try not to drive the force from your lower back. Instead, feel it just below the cheeks. Very nice. Now we're going back into our bear form, face down, and we're just going to add a little something in here. Single leg kickbacks. So just reach back with one leg at a time, maintaining hip position, spine position, shoulder position. Everything is still except for the knee and the leg that's moving. Go ahead and kick up nice and high if you'd like. Really get the glute engaged. Good. Switching back over into our face-up position. We're essentially going to do the same thing here, just kicking the feet out one by one. Try to touch it just ever so gently on that mat. Keep that chest up. Keep yourself in a nice, almost an L position here once you kick that leg out. Straighten that leg. Feel the hip flexors and the quads working to keep that leg up off the ground. And push through the shoulders. Push away from the ground in all of these exercises as much as you can. Moving on to step 3, we're moving into single-handed steppers. All we do here is keep those feet down, keep those knees close to the ground, and we're just going back and forth with the hands. 10 times with each hand is a good start. Just gently touch the ground, back, behind the hand, and in front of the other hand. Very good. And then we move back into our crab position once again. And very similarly, we're just going to reach forward with one hand at a time. Keep that chest up. We're just coming through. Hips can come forward, close to the heels, but keep those hips up off the ground. Ten reps is a good number. Now, as these positions and movements start to get a bit harder, if you don't feel comfortable with moving on to a progression, stay back at that other variation. Here we're going to start moving opposite limbs. So we're taking our left foot, right hand, moving it back and keeping the right knee down close to the ground. And then we move the left foot, right hand forward and back as well. Back and forth, keeping the hips steady, keeping that spine in a good neutral position, and continue pushing away through that other arm as much as you can. It's just a nice little 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Keep it going. Good job. We've switched sides. Very nice. Keep it up. Awesome. Awesome. And now very similarly with the other side, we're going to switch to opposite limbs here. It's a kick and a reach this time, so I'm going to take that left foot, right hand, coming off the ground at the same time, reaching them both forward. Keeping the chest up, keeping the hips low to the ground, and just gently touching that mat. Trying not to put too much weight in that extended leg. Very good. Finished with that step. As we move on, we're just going to make it a little bit harder. We're combining the steps, the 1-2 step, switching sides with every step as we go. So this time we go right hand, left foot, left hand, right foot, forward, forward, back, and back. 1, 2, back, 2. Nice and smooth. Steady hips. Try not to let those hips drop to either side. And to help do that, keep the knees nice and low. I like to use my elbows as a good reference point. Don't bring the knees above the elbows. Switching over to the other side, we're going to start doing that crab walk that we love so much in old PE class. And we simply go 1, 2 forward and 1, 2 back. Remember, opposite limbs moving. You can lift the hips up, otherwise you can keep them nice and low to the ground. Easiest to keep them low, but just remember to keep them steady and keep the opposite limbs moving together. Very nice. So we've made it through our 5 steps to doing our quadruped walks, bear crawl, and crab walk, our 2 basic ones. And then we're going to start to move on here. So this next exercise, what we're going to do is just take a little bit of pressure off the wrists, come down to a lying position with our knees up, feet up. We're doing angled legless before. You've probably done legless, but this time what we're going to do is we're going to drop them down and to the side and try to make a nice little U shape with the feet and with the knees. Don't drop them directly down to the side, but at an angle. And what we're doing here is we're just keeping that core nice and active, keep the hip on the ground, generating some rotational strength through the core to get us prepared for the next few exercises that we will be doing. Stay focused, take it nice and slow. Very good. And now we're going to get up back into that quadruped face down or bear position and perform what's known as an underpass transition. We're going from bear to crab. Taking opposite limbs once again, my right hand and left knee. I just twist a little bit and I can place that knee on the ground if I'd like, or I can come all the way through to crab. And then we go back. So again, if you want to use those yoga blocks for elevation, this is a great place to do that. If you're having a difficult time getting all the way through to the crab form, you can bring that knee just in front, touch it to the ground, and then go right back into the bear form. Otherwise, if you're feeling good, you're feeling in good control, nice and strong, move all the way through into that crab form. Beautiful. Keep it going. Very nice. Nice and smooth. Slow and steady. You might feel some choppiness. That's okay. That's just you learning the movement. Good. Slow and steady wins the race, right? Very nice. And now moving on. I'm coming onto my fists here just for a moment. But we're going to do this one with speed. I know I said slow and steady wins the race, but sometimes it's fun to go fast. But don't do this until you have good control in the shoulder, in the core, in the hips. How quickly can we make it through from bear to crab and then all the way back? Nice tricky little transition, lifting one foot up after the other, going from crab to crab. Fantastic. Now the second part of the transition is a step over. We're going to take one leg and reach over to the other side so we get into our crab. So here I'm going to take my right leg, slowly twist at the hips, keep that core engaged so we don't generate too much torque and twist at the spine, and then I follow with my right hand. Come back to bear, lift up that left leg, lift up that left arm, into crab, and then we go back. Right foot, right hand, right foot, left hand, back to bear, left hand, left foot. Once again, really go for control throughout this whole movement so we develop that strength and we can start to do it a little bit faster later on. Really take note of that coordination that's happening with the feet here, because it's going to be used again. We're going a little bit faster, and then later on in animal flow as we're doing moves like cartwheels, it's the same coordination. So here we go. Notice the little hop and that transition, that switch from one foot to the other. Feet lead the way first, followed by the hips, followed by the torso, and finally the hand. Keep it going at your speed, however many you got. With good form, of course. Very nice. Alright, so next we're going to get into our squat movement here for the day. It's just squatting down to the knees, and then we're alternating that with an L-sit to a bridge position. Starting with the squat kneels, we get into our bear form and just walk yourself back with your hands, bringing your knees up. You can bring your feet out to as wide or narrow as you feel comfortable, and we want to drop down into a nice deep squat, keeping that back active. Hip back, tailbone high, and then we come forward and then back again. Bring the hands into prayer position, chest up. Drop those knees, and then we come back. Shift back and sit. Keeping the quads nice and long, stretched out here and under tension. This movement is very useful in everyday life. A lot of times when you have to go to the ground for things. However, if you do have weak knees, this could be a little bit of a tender spot, as there's a lot of tension over those quads coming over that knee. So once again, if you've got that elevation, this would be a great time to use that. So you don't have to drop the knees all the way down. You don't have to lean too far forward. But otherwise, if you've got the mobility, do it. This should really burn those quads nicely. Moving on, second part of this alternating set, sitting straight up, making a nice L with the body. We're going to lift those hips, tuck the core, and then push the hips forward and up through the heels. And what I'm actually doing is, as I get into that L-sit position, I am trying to lift my feet up off the ground ever so slightly. It'll just help develop more strength through the core. Pulling back into an L, pressing up into a bridge. Using the yoga blocks or elevation here is going to help with decreasing some of that tension in the shoulders. Create a little bit more of a slope from shoulders to knee, and not as much tension. Very good. Keep going. Feel that burn in the core. Feel those glutes working as you press up into the bridge. Very nice. And so I'm just going to kind of get right into it. I'm coming forward and then sitting back into that squat. Finding a good comfortable position for the squat, and then I lean, drop the knees, and come back up. So I'm feeling a little bit better than the first round. Notice that I'm going on my fingertips here. And maybe I can go without using my hands at all, or at least in a different position. And you'll notice my toes are stretching out real nice. That's why we did those down dog walks, to stretch those toes out. And once again, I'm not necessarily going for a number. 10 is good, but however many it takes for you to get a good burn. Feel those quads stretching and working, and start to get that coordination from one position to the next. And finally, I'm going to switch back over. I'm getting right into that bridge position here. I'm on my fists, pushing away from the ground as much as I can, and then sitting back into that L position, crunching that core, lifting those heels up off the ground, keeping those legs straight. Breathing nice and deep. So there was a nice Zumba class on the court while I was doing this. It was a little loud for me to be using the noises of the ambience in this video, so I felt a narration would be appropriate. Keep going with those L-sits and bridges. Nicely done. I go off on tangents. Good stuff. Good, it should really be working by now. Alright, we're going to start working up towards our final movement here, which is a Spider-Man step through, but first we just bring one leg up, bring it close to those hands if you can, otherwise just a little bit out to the side is okay. We're going to be doing Spider-Man knee drives. As you bring one foot out, that opposite leg goes from that back position up to, once again, just below the heels. We're just doing 5 on either side here to get warmed up. 3, 4, and 5. I repeat, elbows or lower are where the knees are going. So now we're going to take it up a level here. We're doing that step through. We bring the knee up, straighten that leg through, and then release the same hand that it hits. It should be the opposite arm. So I'm bringing my right knee to my left elbow, straighten that right leg, bring that left elbow back. And really, keeping that elbow bent, drive that elbow back and open up the chest right here. Boom, good. I'm just taking it segment by segment. Step up, knee drive, straighten the leg, elbow back, hand back down, bend, and put that foot back in position at that plank position. And here we go, just a couple more. Getting that elbow back is just going to help us with the posture here on this one to open up the chest. Yep, and looking through. Very nice. Now this is our final step here. We're doing this one with speed so we get back into that plank position. Instead of just stepping up, we're going to kind of hop up a little bit. Got to do a little bit of a thrust here. Drive that leg up and then kick that other leg straight through, bringing that opposite hand up, elbow back. Good. Keep it going. This is a great conditioning, full body exercise that's going to get you nice and tired the faster you go. Nicely done. Keep on going. Keep on going. How long can you go with good form? Yes. Beautiful. Feel free to do that set again if you'd like. Otherwise, we are all set, and we're going to finish this workout with a little bit of stretching. So I'm getting that shoulder. My left hand is close to my body on my left side. My right arm is out to the side and angled upward a little bit. I bring my left leg over. I'm squeezing that left glute, keeping the core nice and tight, and then I switch sides. Open that chest up. Keep pressing the elbow into the floor to stretch that shoulder out. I'll turn off to the side here. We're going to hit those quads. Press the hip down into the floor. Grab the ankle with the same arm. Bring that knee up off the ground and pull the ankle in towards your butt. Keep pushing that hip forward and feel it in the front of the thighs, stretching nicely. And we'll switch sides. Left side, left arm. Left hand grabs the left wrist. Keep pressing that hip into the ground. Try not to let your knee flare out to the side. Instead, keep it nice and lined up. A good 15 to 20 seconds is a good amount for the stretch, especially in those quads, as in the squats as well as in our bear form. They took a lot of tension. Moving into a cobra here. Once again, we're going to be stretching out those abs. Press the hips down into the ground. Look up, bring the shoulders up, bring the chest up, and keep pressing those hips down to stretch those abs. On the opposite side, we're sitting back into a child's pose. You should feel a good little stretch in the groin and hamstrings here. If you're sitting back nice and deep, reaching forward. Try to keep that tailbone high to help stretch the hammies. We're going to walk our hands over to one side. Line that left hand up with the midline, reaching as high as you can. Stretching down in that left side. And then we walk our hands over to the other side. Right hand along that midline, reaching up, stretching down the right side of the body. Around the back out, come up into a kneeling position. And then back into a kneeling or a seated position. Fantastic. Nicely done today. Thank you so much for joining me. Practice these movements, and I'll see you next time.